Hi guys, Miss King here. Quick lesson on completing the square. So completing the square is a method for factorising, and it's based on a perfect square trinomial and the fact that it is the square of a binomial. So bi just means two, so when you've got two terms in a bracket, you can say that when you square them you're going to end up with a trinomial, so three terms. Tri for trinomial for 3 and bi for 2. So if I was to look at x plus 4, I would multiply it out using FOIL, and then I would end up with x squared plus 8x plus 16. Once I've collected my like terms, if I was to do x minus 3 all to be squared, I would end up with x squared minus 6x plus 9, again after collecting the like terms. So if I was to study them, I can see that 4 here gives me my 8 in the centre if I half it, and then the 4 squared is the 16. So again I can look at my negative 3. So if I double that, I get negative 6, and if I square it, I get a positive 9. So that's what we're looking at here. So the square of half the coefficient of x equals the constant term. So I was referring to it as the middle term, but it's actually the coefficient of x. So half of 8 is 4, and when you square it, you get 16, so that's your constant term. Okay. So the steps for completing the square are: you write the equation in the form x squared plus bx is equal to c, where the constant is on the right hand side. You add to each side of the equation half the b, which is the coefficient of x, after squaring it. Okay. Then you can factor the perfect square trinomial, so you know that these three terms then will give you the binomial all squared, the two-termed bracket all squared, and then this here you can just work it out and see what you get as your constant on the right hand side. Then you need to take the square root of both sides of the equation and then solve for x. So that will make much more sense when we've done examples. So first example, I have to solve for w squared plus 6w plus 4. Sorry, it's a bit jumpy. Let's just leave it the way it is. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite the equation with the constant on the other side. So my plus 4 is my constant here, and I need that to go on the right hand side. So w squared plus 6w is equal to negative 4. So that's my step 1. Then I have to add half of b all to be squared to both sides. So if I look at my b is equal to 6, and 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3, and that squared is going to give me 9. So this 9 is what I need to add to both sides. Okay, so underneath that I'm going to do w squared plus 6w plus 9 is equal to negative 4 plus 9. So right now I have added my 9 to both sides. So this one here. Okay, next line then. Straight away I can see that these three terms are a trinomial, and they are the binomial squared. So the binomial was this term here. So it's going to be w plus 3 all to be squared is equal to, and negative 4 plus 9 is equal to 5. And now I can take the square root of both sides, because w plus 3 all to be squared is equal to 5. Okay, so I'm just going to go over the page. So I'm going to write that equation up again. So w plus 3 all to be squared is equal to 5. So if I square root both sides, I'm left with the w plus 3 on this side, and plus or minus the root 5 over here. And then w is going to be equal to plus or minus root 5. And when I bring my plus 3 over, it becomes minus 3. Okay, so now I've got two solutions for w. So w is going to be equal to the positive root 5 minus 3, or w is equal to the negative root 5 minus 3. Perfect, so two real solutions. So again, I'm going to do another example. So my equation isn't written in the form I want, so I have to write up the constant on the right hand side. So I'm going to have 2r squared plus 5r is equal to 3. So again, I've just got my constant on the right hand side, and everything else is on the left hand side. So now I have to work out my b, which is the coefficient of r. So that is 5. So my b is equal to 5, and then I have to divide that by 2, so I'm left with 5 over 2, and then I have to square all that, so I'm left with 25 over 4. Okay, and that's the term that I'm going to add to both sides. So again, 2r squared plus 5r plus 25 over 4 is equal to 3 plus 25 over 4. So I've added it to both sides. I've added this term to both sides. And now I can see that these three give me the trinomial. So my halved term was 5 divided by 2, so that's what I'm looking to have in my binomial. So r plus 5 over 2, all to be squared, is going to give me, so 4 goes into 25 6 times with 1 left over, so 6 and 3 is 9, so it's 9 1/4. Or I can change the 3 into quarter, so it would be 12 over 4, and 12 plus 25 is 37 over 4. And now I can take the square root of both sides. So r plus 5 over 2, all to be squared, is equal to 37 over 4. Sorry, that 3 is not right. And then I can square root both sides, so r plus 5 over 2 is equal to this plus or minus the square root of 37 over 4, and then r is equal to plus or minus the square root of 37 over 4 minus the 5 over 2, so when you bring your 5 over 2 to the right hand side, it becomes a minus. And then you can have r is equal to the square root of 37 over 4 minus 5 over 2, that's the positive version. Or r is equal to negative square root of 37 over 4 minus 5 over 2. Okay, so again, we're going to multiply this one out, just another example. So 3p minus 5 is equal to p squared minus p minus 2p plus 2. Collect all my like terms. So I've got negative p squared minus p minus 2p is minus 3p. When I bring that over, it'll become plus 3p, so that's plus 6p. Is equal to, when I bring my minus 5 over, it becomes plus, so 5 plus 2 is 7. Now I don't really like having the minus there, so I'm just going to switch it around. So p squared minus 6p is equal to negative 7. Okay. The next thing that I'm going to do is work out my b terms. So my b is equal to 6, negative 6 actually. So divided by 2 is equal to negative 3, and all to be squared is equal to 9. So now I'm going to add that to both sides. So p squared minus 6p plus 9 is equal to negative 7 plus 9. So again, I've got my trinomial here, which is p minus 3 all to be squared. Remember to watch your sign. So it's this term here. And that's going to be equal to 2. And then I can square root it. Hopefully I've got room in the next page. So I'll do it up here in the corner. So then p minus 3 is equal to, so p minus 3 is equal to the square root of 2 plus and minus. So p is equal to root 2 minus plus 3 when you bring your minus over, or p is equal to the negative root 2 plus 3. That's my two solutions. Okay, so the next examples are just worded examples of quadratic equations, so it doesn't tell you how you need to solve them. Okay, so this worded example, I'm going to try and write it as a quadratic equation and solve for t. So a cliff diver 64 feet above the surface of the water. The formula for calculating the height h of the diver after t seconds is h is equal to negative 16t squared plus 64. How long does it take for the diver to hit the surface of the water? So surface of the water, my h is going to be at the 0 because I'll be 0 meters off the ground, off the water. Okay, so that's my first thing. So now I'm going to replace my h with my 0. And I will have negative 16t squared plus 64 is equal to 0. And then I can do multiply across by negative 1. and I'll get 16t squared minus 64 is equal to 0. So straight away I can see that that's the difference of two squares. So this is going to be 4t all to be squared minus 8 all to be squared is equal to 0. So I'm opening up my two brackets, so 4t minus 8 and 4t plus 8 is equal to 0. And when I work that out, I'm going to get t is equal to positive 8 over 4, which is equal to 2, and this one will be negative 2. So again, I've got two different solutions for t in seconds, but again, related back to the context, you can't have t is equal to negative seconds, so you would say after 2 seconds, the diver will be at the surface of the water. Okay. The next one, square of a number minus the number is 63. So again, the square of the number, so it'll be w squared minus twice the number minus 2w is equal to 63, where w is my number. Okay, and then I just have to solve that one. So I'm going to bring over my 63 and see if I can factorize it doing that. Minus 2w minus 63 is equal to 0. See if I can do the null factor law. If I can't, I'll do completing the square. Open up my two brackets. My factors of 63 are 9 and 7 to give me my 2. So I use them. Actually, I'm going to just, good practice here, guys. I'm just going to list all the factors of 63. So I'll do it on this one. So 1 and 63, 3 and 21. 4 doesn't go in, 5 doesn't go in, 6 doesn't go in, 7 goes in 9 times. And then straight away, the two that are going to give me the 2 is the 7 and the 9. So I can plug them in. So w and w for w squared, 7 and 9. Last sign is negative, so I want them to be different. And the middle sign is negative, so the big one has to be negative. It's equal to 0. So straight away, if the null factor law tells you that one of each of these is 0, because if two things multiply together to give you 0, one of them has to be 0. So plus 7 is equal to 0, then w is equal to negative 7, or w minus 9 is equal to 0, so w will be equal to positive 9. Okay. So I'd like you to give that last one a go on your own. Thanks, guys. I'll go through it in class.